Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Path. My name is Dara, and Brian is here with me today to talk more about the Chaos Space Marines Codex. Today, we are going to be talking about the Chaos Cult detachment in the new book. My personal favorite detachment in this codex for a variety of reasons, including my longtime passion for running a Renegades and Heretics army. Now, most people definitely think this is like the meme detachment, where there's no competitive play with it whatsoever. And people are kind of saying the same thing about Dread Talons, but maybe our video earlier this week proved that that is maybe a little bit unfounded and that there is hidden power in that detachment. Today we're going to try and convince you that the same is the case for the Chaos Cult. Brian, how are you doing today?
Doing good, Dara. It's good to be back. Just got back from work. Just relaxing, and I'm just reading through some more Chaos, Space Marine like list ideas, and I'm having a lot of fun so far looking at this book. And I know people meme on Chaos Cult a little bit, but as somebody who has firsthand witnessed the horror of Manny Chima's style of just cultist spam list, I've had my anger on one shot by just half a squad of a cursed cultist before. I know cultist lists have inherent power, and I know it is not incredibly obvious. So I don't think a list of this style should be written off so easily. So I'm really excited to hear what you have cooking.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it is the meme detachment within this book, but it's such a powerful book that even the meme detachment is strong. And I would say that the Chaos Cult detachment is probably stronger than the strongest detachment in the Custodes Codex, for want of a description. Um, I think there's like a lot of quiet power in this detachment, similar to the Dread Talents, how we kind of talked about some combos and abilities that maybe people weren't seeing. And I definitely think that the power in Chaos Cult isn't apparently obvious. You look at it and you're kind of like, no, I'm not seeing how this is going to work together. But I sat down with it because like I was super hyped when I saw this. I've always wanted to run an only mortal chaos army, and now is my chance. So I kind of said to myself, look, the World Leaders book isn't coming out for a while. We've got some time to wait. Let's set up a little hobby project on the side. I was kind of bouncing off your enthusiasm for Dread Talons, and it sort of made me want to be like, all right, what am I going to do? What am I going to bring to the table here? And it was Chaos Cult that jumped out to me. It does a lot of cool things, and there's a lot of combined synergies. Like there's an awful lot of ways of layering and stacking buffs here. It's like a very, very evil lasagna. Is the best way I can use to kind of describe it. Um, and I've put together a couple of lists. Like I kind of started off on a bit of a weird rabbit hole of trying to make the Kalos work, and eventually just kind of wound my way back to something that is a little bit more comfortable and less high risk. But I've had a lot of fun building lists over the last week with it, and I'm really excited to get this on the table, to experience a new level of back pain as I try and move 200 models around the table, and just see how it plays out. I don't know if I'm going to take this army like very, very seriously. I definitely will run it at a couple of RTTs. I think there is a potential that I might bring it to the Broadsword Major later this year. But overall, I'm very excited. It's a fun new hobby project. I've got my eye on some of the old resin Lost and Damned models. I've got my eye on the new cultists, like the Accursed Cultists and the Dark Commune, which I haven't had the chance to paint yet. And of course, I've got Barney's contingent of hundreds and hundreds of mortals already painted. They're ready to go. Just say the word and I'll deploy them. But yeah, why don't we get the rules up on the screen and we can actually start talking kind of about how this book is going to utilize those mortal followers of chaos in a way that we haven't really had before. So, I suppose we'll run through the army rule first of all. It's a two-parter. It's quite cool. It kind of builds on the concept of the Dark Pact, but in a different way to Soulforge. And how it works is every time a damned unit from your army with a Dark Pact's ability is selected to make a normal move or advanced move or declare a charge, they can make this thing called a Desperate Pact, which functionally is the same as a Dark Pact. They have to take a leadership test. But if they succeed, they can add 2 to the move characteristic or 2 to the charge rolls made. So, as you'll kind of see as we go into this, I'm sort of pseudo playing world leaders with some of these army rules. Straight away, we've got +2 to move, just like the blessings of Khorne. We've got Dark Pacts in there, which still gives the army lethal and sustained hits. So that's 3 of the blessings checked off already. We might hit a couple of others as we go along, but it's a very powerful ability. You can't use the +2 to charge rolls on units that arrive from strategic reserve, which I believe was kind of funny. I was reading the Goonhammer review of this detachment, and they started off by saying that you can't do it, and literally like 2 lines later, they were like, "This is amazing on Felgor Beastmen who can come out of reserve and get +2 to the charge roll." If you're reading that, you can't do that. Just to be clear, but it's very very good otherwise, I would say. Um, what do
That's
you think about
incredible.
this one, Brian?
That's incredibly strong because you have fast moving bricks of just massive amounts of attack output running around the board, and at +2 to charge, you're making what would should be a very inconsistent charge, just like an average that you'll get it. So being able to run around the board and being able to reliably nail charges with just bricks and bricks and bricks of bodies will allow you to clog your opponent up while also being able to punch up quite well
Yeah.
once you get all those bodies into base-to-base contact.
Yeah, 100%. It's a horde army that has the capacity for speed, which is a little bit of a unique combination. Normally, we're used to horde armies being a little bit slower. So it's really cool to see that, you know, you're able to get your assets up the table very, very quickly and make those charge rolls a little bit more reliable, which is amazing. And I know people will say like, "Oh, you're going to be doing a lot of leadership checks," and you're right, you certainly are. And cultists are not known for high leadership values. However, the list that I'm building typically have like somewhere in the region of 5 to 8 characters, which means they're all going to be attaching to cultist units. So when it comes to taking those dark pacts or the desperate pacts, I'm going to be using like leadership 6 or leadership 5 most of the time. So in actuality, you're going to be passing those packs most of the instances that you take them, and even if you don't, it's not the end of the world. It's like, okay, cool, I can lose at most 3 cultists from my 25-man unit. It's going to be okay. um
And a lot of those squads too, like they have like a lot of chaff that you're not scared to lose. Like if you're talking a cursed cultist losing a few of the small bodies, even they have a feel no pain too, still, right?
yep, yep.
So they can just shrug some of that off, and if you lose a couple small bodies, you haven't lost really that much lethalness.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's really quite good. And obviously then for combat, you've got your Dark Pact to, actually kind of make cultists like a little bit more lethal. Ironically, by giving them lethal hits, or if you want to go volume, you can hit those sustained hits up. I think sustained is quite good on the accursed bricks, while lethal is quite good on your regular chaff. But the other thing that I find really really cool about this detachment is that it makes Trader Guardsmen battle line. Now, don't get me wrong, Trader Guardsmen are not a very good unit in terms of like their capabilities on the table, but they come with a lot of special weapons. You can give them sniper rifles, grenade launchers, melta plasma guns, all the good stuff. And just having them as battle line is like a really, really cool little bit of flavor for me in this book. In the list that I'm building, I typically have 4 to 5 Trader Guardsman squads. And yeah, I'm just really, really happy to see it. We're like a step away from a Brood Brothers esque, rule where I can start bringing in my Lehman Russes and things like that. We live in hope, but we're getting there. And like the actual collection of damned models, which are the things that make up this army, because of the amount of releases in the last couple of years, it's so versatile now. You've got like your Felgor Beastmen, you've got your Trader Guardsmen, Trader Enforcer, and Ogren. You've got your Dark Commune, Accursed Cultists, regular cultists. It's actually so diverse now, and it's really really interesting to actually build a list using only damned models, and that's more or less what I've done. I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, what you want to do is build mostly cultists and then have like a couple of powerhouse power armor units in there. I'm walking away from that. I'm going all dudes. Like, no power armor inside, insofar as much as possible. There is a little bit of power armor. In my current list, there's 2 power armored bodies, and that's it. But we'll get there. So, yeah, overall, it's a good detachment ability. More speed. Like, speed is one of the best abilities that you can gain in this game, I think it's fair to say. And getting speed in the charge phase and movement phase is just great, right?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's made all top armies a top army has been mobility and
Yeah.
being able to get around and exercise board control. And Horde can like pseudo check that box because you're everywhere at once just by existing, and also with the ability to just get that extra reliable stretch out to get +2 to charge, +2 to move. That's 4 extra inches for threat range,
Yep.
which is huge. That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as a world leaders player, mainly like the +2 to move blessing is one that I have up in the vast majority of my turns. So I really think this is quite a powerful sleeper ability that maybe it's obviously not as appealing as something like advance and shoot for the Corsairs, but it's still pretty impressive in my opinion. But let's move on to the enhancements. The enhancements here all either go on a damned character or on a dark apostle. So your damned characters are going to be your dark commune or your traitor enforcer. We're going to disregard the traitor enforcer. You're probably never going to put an enhancement on him, but the dark commune is quite an appealing choice. An interesting point to note here before you move on is that Fabius Bile can now attach to accursed cultist bricks and regular cultist bricks. What's relevant there is the accursed, but we'll get to that combo in a little bit. But let's work through the enhancements. So the first one is the cultist brand. It goes on an apostle or damned model, and essentially what it does is it gives you advance and charge rerolls, which is a powerful ability, I would say. But of the four enhancements here, this is technically my least favorite one. I know it's nice to be able to advance and get that reroll to get on objectives and have your charge rerolls as well, but I would say if you're worried about a charge in general, you can just Desperate Pact and get a +2 to the roll. And if you're really worried about a charge and even a Desperate Pact isn't going to get you there, maybe you shouldn't have been in a situation where you were having to make that long of a charge anyway. So I don't know. I don't think this one is amazing, but what do you think about it, Brian?
That's definitely in the category of if you have 20 points and no idea what to spend it on, you grab this.
I think
Um,
the problem is that you want all the other enhancements. So you don't even have the option of taking
oh yeah,
this.
you're fighting for four enhancements here, I see.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah,
are only
so
allowed to take three, which I've never had that issue before because I've never wanted to take every single one of my enhancements before.
I'm living that life right now. But yeah, so moving on, we've got the Amulet of Tainted Vigor. This one goes on only a Dark Apostle, but what it does is he can resurrect D3 damned models that he is attached to. This is obviously very, very powerful because you put the Dark Apostle with the Accursed
Oh no, and then you
and
start
resurrect them.
pulling the big boys and you start bringing the
Yep.
big boys back. That is pre FAQ CSM all over again.
Yep. Yeah, we're right back there. We're right back to resing D3 of the what are they called again? The big boys. Um Torments. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. So obviously this enhancement not so good on a 20-man cultist brick, but exceptionally good on an accursed brick. So
Yeah,
A
because
plus.
when that reads, you bring back D3 3 wound models that all have a 5 up feel no pain.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Um that's definitely the most auto take of the enhancements for sure. Like this just goes on an apostle. He goes with a bigger curse brick. You don't ask any more questions.
So
It's as simple as that.
so that's your first power armor pick.
That's my first power armor pick. Yeah, right. Keep that one in mind. We've got one of two. So the incendiary goad is next, or incendiary goad. This goes on an apostle or damned model. I really like this one, but to get the full picture of this, we'll need to explain it over a two-step process. So what this does is when the bear's unit is below starting strength, they get +1 to their strength characteristic, and when they're below half strength, they get +1 to the attack characteristic. Now, I know what you're thinking. We hate those abilities, right? We hate those abilities so much. But, right? Consider the value proposition. When you're making tons of desperate and damn packs, eventually you're going to fail one, right? And eventually you're going to drop your unit below starting strength. And then it starts to power up, getting +1 strength. Like the fact that the +1 strength is the first threshold, you know, the below starting strength one, is so much better than +1 attack being the first threshold because it means that whatever unit you attach this guy to, he's immediately punching up into like a different kind of weight division almost. Your regular cultists are going to strength 4. Your accursed cultists are going to, I believe it is strength 6, I think. They're strength 5 base, I'm pretty sure. Um, that's really cool for for a variety of reasons, but primarily because there is a stratagem on the next page, which essentially gives you some interesting abilities. If we can flip to it there, yeah, good. We've got the one Infernal Sacrifice, right? So this one is 1 CP, and you want to combo this with the unit that has this enhancement. And by unit, I mean, of course, Accursed Cultists. So this is the one where you've got the Accursed Cultist brick attached to probably a Dark Commune in this case. It's good on a Dark Apostle too, but in my head canon, I only want one Dark Apostle in this army, so be it. But what you've got here is a damned unit that for 1 CP, they make a Desperate Pact. And if they make that desperate pact, they automatically suffer D3 mortal wounds, in addition to the ones suffered if they fail the desperate pact. So they could take 2d3, but they're unlikely to because they have the commune's leadership here. But because you're automatically suffering mortal wounds by using this stratagem, you automatically go below starting strength unless you somehow pass all of your feel no pains, which is probably not going to happen. But what it does is it gives you +1 to your attacks, and if you pass the leadership check, which you are likely to do using the commune's leadership ability, you get +1 to your strength. So, combined with the enhancement, it means that on a turn that you decide to go for it, you spend 1 CP, and if you pass your leadership test, you've got an extra attack, and stacked with the enhancement +2 strength, which means your accursed torments go up to, I believe it is strength 7.
Yep, I just checked. Torments are
Yeah,
strength 5 base. That
strength
is
7 is a hell of a drug. I will just say that right now because it means they will wound pretty much most heavy targets in the game on 5s. And if you scroll up just a little bit there, Brian, sweet 1 CP as well. So if you've got 2 CP, you can do the combo from hell. So what you want to do here is spend another CP, take another Desperate Pact test. If you fail the test, nothing terrible happens. You suffer your mortal wounds, but you get full hit rerolls. If you pass the test, which you are again likely to do, you get full wound rerolls as well. So 2 CP, pass 2 tests. You've got Accursed Cultists hitting with +1 attack, +2 strength, full hit and wound rerolls, and why not throw in a Dark Pact and get sustained or lethal hits up?
this has to be on a Dark Apostle, right?
This one has to be on. No, this one can be on a Commune or a Dark Apostle. So if you put it on the Dark Apostle, you also get +1 to wound.
I think that the commune also can give you +1 to wound, right?
It gives you advance and charge and something
Plus
else, which I
one.
forget. I think it might be +1 to wound, but it's once per game.
Yeah, it's a once per game one-off.
But
Yeah,
you're
so
probably using it there, right?
yeah, and I've been in a situation like to describe the situation I've been in before. Like I had 4 just of the torments touching Angron, and they popped full rerolls to hit and wound, and they had the Dark Commune, and they went Super Saiyan, and they were just wounding on 5s. This
Yep.
makes you wound on 4s.
This makes you wound on 4s with full rerolls.
I'm more dead now than I was before.
Yeah, I mathed this out on Unicrunch. So for context, and not only winning on 4s, but you also have more attacks than previously as well because of the other stratagem.
And you
Um,
gotta get kind of lucky on mortal wound distribution. Like you could end up just tanking it all and throwing it on a one torment model and
that's
get all
true.
of these buffs.
I would probably start lopping off the extra dudes in the Dark Commune if I started failing tests because they don't really bring anything. You know the little sword guys? Like they're my first
Oh yeah,
two.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you guys die first, and then the rest of the actual curse break starts to take casualties if I start failing tests. Um, but yeah, I think I worked it out. It was like 66 plus 18 attacks from the torments on full rerolls +1
With
to wound.
probably lethal or sustained. And yeah, at that math, sustained is better.
Yeah,
So
I
that
mathed it out on Unicrunch, and I the only unit I found that they wouldn't kill in a single activation was Meganobs on the WAG turn, and they killed 5 out of 6, which is
good enough
good enough. They killed 20
because
boys with
those
ease.
Meganobs are killing nothing back.
Yeah, yeah. 20
That's
boys disappear. It was like a 99.6% chance you kill the 20 boys, which I was like, now we're talking.
and
Like
how
this
many
is the
points is
juice.
this? How many points is this brick?
So the Accursed Brick are currently 210 points, and then attaching a character to them will add another 60 or 70 points, depending on which one you attach.
Okay, so they are a little pricey, but
They are a little pricey.
they
Yeah.
can still take that punch back.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to scroll back up to the enhancements, that is actually my personal favorite enhancement because it's just so janky. This is a good time to mention that you can have a second Accursed Cultist brick that has the same abilities because Fabius Bile attaches to one of them and gives them +1 strength and toughness. So you functionally get the same buff from this enhancement. So you could have 2 bricks of doom roving around. All you need to do is bank your 2 CP, and then when they decide to go in, make those plays and just get massive profit. Also, Fabius Bile is very good in combat. So yeah, he can go around clubbing guys as well. So very, very strong enhancement. I think really, really good one there. Some sick combos. Then we have Warp Foresight. Now, unfortunately, the way this one is currently worded, Warp Foresight doesn't actually work. I've emailed GW about this, but let me explain. So you put this on an Apostle or a Damned model, and it gives them the Scout 6 ability. However, the way that they have phrased this is the Bearer gets the Scout 6 ability, which means number one, If you attach to a unit that doesn't have scout, much like in Michaelis, you cannot scout because there are models that do and don't have scout in the unit, and all of them need to have it. But that logic follows through when it comes to actually just giving this to a character full stop, because both the Dark Apostle and the Dark Commune and the Traitor Enforcer are all multi-model character units, but only one of them actually receives the enhancement, which means only one of those multi-models actually has the scout keyword, and the other ones
Yeah.
don't. So even if the units were by themselves, they can't scout. Even if you attach them to accursed cultists who have the scout keyword, they still can't scout. The only way you can get this to work is if you have a single cultist firebrand by himself and you give it that enhancement. He can scout. I've emailed GW about this because it's very, very clearly not the intention, and I presume that this will give the unit that they attach to, or the bearer's unit, as it should say, the Scout 6 ability, which will
Yeah.
become a powerful enhancement, in my
Which
opinion.
I could see them trying to use this as a way to limit, like, still be able to give you your dark communes running up the board with your cursed scout and leave it at that. But the fact that you pointed out that that does not work is kind of disappointing. So
Yeah,
hopefully that change comes quick. That could probably be a day one FAQ when the
I
book drops.
imagine that will be a day one FAQ. I really hope so. Like I said, I've sent them an email about it, but yeah, we'll have to see. I think that would make that a nice little. I probably wouldn't even put it on an curse brick. I think I would, if it worked on the Bears unit, including the one they attached to. I think I would like that on a commune attached to 20 cultists, just scouting up the board and like being everywhere because 25 models just stringing out. It's a good vibe.
Yeah,
Um,
I see that more as like the utility of because cult is still sticky. So
yep,
half the missions we play, if you're on search and destroy or if you're on one of the other
hidden
uh
supplies or
hidden
something.
supplies, you
Yeah,
want to get sticky on an objective turn one.
strong.
I see this going on cultists more than I see it going on a cursed cultist.
I think so. And they have scout anyway, but obviously because the combinations I'm talking about here, attaching an apostle, attaching a commune, attaching bile, they then can't use their scout ability,
So
which is slightly annoying. I
yeah,
suppose
so
it is
there would be logic to giving them to a dark giving this to a dark commune so you can have the turn one death brick threat
exactly.
range.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what they intended. I think what they were going for here was pairing a character with the a curse cultist so that you could have that forward moving squad. But I think they just forgot that a lot of the characters are these strange multi-unit characters, right? Like even the Dark Apostle has like his two little hooligans next to him who don't get the scout keyword, which is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, that's the enhancements.
So I just want to like, so your cursed cultist is just playing world leaders. Like if you throw, assuming you threw this on a dark commune break, you're scouting 6, you're moving 8, so that's 14, and then you're +2 to your charge.
Yep,
So essentially you're moving 16 and then you get a 2d6 charge. So that's anything within 23 inches you're nailing on average
yep.
turn one, which that's longer than most deployment zones.
I'm playing World Eaters, baby. Like, it feels good. Not to mention the fact that Accursed Cultists have literally got Blood Surge now as well. So yeah, that is also a vibe. But yeah, that's the enhancements. I think Incendiary Goad is the one that really jumps out to me in the sense that it can combo with some of those stratagems in really interesting ways. Because, I've seen a lot of the reviews talking about this being like, oh yeah, the damage buffs are good, but you're only putting it on cultists. Like, I am sorry if you see the damage that the big accursed tar pit puts out with some of these buffs layered on, it is ridiculous. Like it is actually crazy. I don't think I've found a unit in the World Eaters Codex that kills as efficiently as the curse cultist like layered stacked abilities like that. It's bizarre to me. And again, it's a case of people reading these things too fast and initially dismissing it because they're pulled by more interesting, obviously powerful detachments like the Raiders and stuff like that. But I've always liked to dig into the more unorthodox kind of style detachments, and you start looking at these things and you're like, hang on, actually a minute. If I put a little bit of work in here, this can be incredibly powerful. But why don't we flip to the strats and talk about those next? So we've already gone through two of them here, and they're probably the two of the more powerful ones in the detachment. They're both 1 CP, so you've got the full hit and wound rerolls if you pass your check, and you've got the +1 strength and attack if you pass your check. Both of those are for combat. Actually, you can do full hit and wound rerolls and shooting as well, but
You
why?
probably don't want to be
You
doing that.
probably never want to do that. Yeah,
Double blowing
um,
up Trader Guard squads doesn't seem like a place to be.
it doesn't seem great. No. Then you've got this other one, Selfless Demise. This one is pretty rubbish. Essentially, what it does is like you do a CP when you get attacked in combat, and on sixes, your guys can sort of explode when they die and do mortal wounds. You're never going to use it because your CP are going to be spent using your full hit and wound rerolls or your +1 strength and attack stratagems. And there's some other good ones in here as well that you're going to want to use on your opponent's turn. But I guess if there's a weird situation where you're like, cool, this vehicle is on like 3 wounds left, maybe I'll make this play. And maybe I'll randomly blow it up with some cultists. I
So
don't know.
it's every time a model is destroyed.
Yeah,
So what is the biggest size squad you have in your list?
25.
25. So you're
Yeah,
looking at 4 to 5 mortal
4 to
wounds,
5, which
assuming
isn't.
you get wiped.
Yeah,
Just pretty hard. That'd be like 10 Khorne berserkers slamming into you.
yeah.
Is like what does that, which is it's situational. I mean,
And it's kind of like 1 CP to kill 2 berserkers, maybe 1.5 if one of them makes us feel no pain. Doesn't feel great to me. So yeah, I don't see myself ever really using that one, mainly because the other 5 stratagems are quite good. Um, the other one that's maybe less powerful is Crazed Focus for 1 CP. You do this in your shooting phase. Once again, you're making a Desperate Pact, shocker. And essentially, what this does is you improve the armor penetration of ranged attacks by 1. And if you pass the check, you improve your strength of those ranged weapons as well by 1. So this is like literally only relevant on the Trader Guardsman, and it's like it's weird, okay? Because it's
but
like
I
it's
mean,
not
cult.
so terrible that I wouldn't use it if that makes sense,
If there's like swooping hawks next to your cultists,
right? Yeah,
just
yeah.
cultists, and you just want to light them up with auto pistol shots that are now strength 4, like
And
AP
you've got
1.
like you've got a melta gun, you've got a sniper rifle, you've got a plasma gun in there as well. It ain't
I'm saying
nothing.
cultists. I'm saying auto pistols.
Oh, you're going that hard? Okay, okay.
And and say we have our Scouty Firebrand that's attached to them too. The Firebrand also has the grenades keyword I saw. So
He's got the grenades keyword. Finally, I've got grenades keyword in my army.
so yeah, but
I guess
I
that
mean
does kind of amp up his flamer as well. You'd be winning like Eldar on twos.
if there's a really annoying swooping hawk squad next to you, cultists with their Glocks can take care of it.
The Firebrand by himself could take care of it because he's D6 +3, strength 6, AP 2 with this. It
Yeah,
it ain't
I
nothing.
mean
It ain't nothing.
I mean
I
they're
kind of
gonna
like it
giggle
as
at it
a.
until they pick their squad up, and then they're not gonna be giggling anymore.
I think that's literally the theme of this detachment. Is like people laugh at you until they don't, and then I'm laughing at them. Because it's like, yeah, you underestimated it. Now the problem is, I think because you always kind of want that 2 CP combo for your punch turns, for the Chosen for Glory and Infernal Sacrifice, it's going to be hard to find the time to use stratagems on your opponent's turn. I guess this is one of the ones that you're using on your turn, but like, I don't know, man. I just think it's like it's really vying for contention with the other ones in terms of like, if I use this, am I sacrificing my full hit and wound rerolls? Like they are not the same thing in terms of damage
Yeah.
output.
Yep, I agree, but it's definitely just a tool in the kit.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't hate it. I think it does
Because
take some of the range weapons to funny thresholds.
when you get to turn 4 and 2 of your accursed cultist bricks are dead and the last one's half dead, like you may start reaching for other tools that you have just laying
100%.
around
Yeah. I can see myself realistically using this in those like turn 4, turn 5 where I'm like, I need this Trader Guardsman squad to pull off a miracle, and they just rock up with their AP 5 Meltagun and they say, "We can do it, boss," and they do.
with
Um,
full hits to or full rerolls to hit and wound. Like,
you know, it again, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. So then, the other two, the last two here, are both quite powerful. So we've got Reckless Haste, which essentially 1 CP advance and charge. If you want to go for a really powerful hammer turn and you've got multiple dark communes, they can pop off their once per game advance and charge abilities, and then you can have another squad advance and charge with this.
oh
It
god, I
means,
said 23 inches earlier, so now we're up to 29
yeah, we can push. So on those like really meaty death bricks, like the accursed cultist with the dark apostle, he's now able to advance and charge as well. So yeah, look, there's never a time where advance and charge isn't a powerful ability, especially when it's only 1 CP, right?
and like this kind of and I've griped about this playstyle a little bit, but it doesn't mean that it's not good. It is actually inherently good. I just hate it when it happens to me because as a World Eaters player, Like, if we get charged by an accursed cultist brick turn one, and we don't have something, because it's gonna blow up whatever it touches, you can just straight up cage your opponent in their deployment zone. And the really powerful thing about this army is it takes such overcommitment to deal with these accursed cultist bricks. They are way harder to shift than you'd think. That the counterpunch that this cultist army would have would be even better because turn one, you're going to launch one brick straight down the board like a bowling ball. And then turn two, here come the other two bricks to clean up whatever you used. And it's going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
shock on your opponent's face when they just pull a half of their army and you still have 150 bodies still just littered around the board,
Yeah.
scoring primary, doing actions. It's going to be a nightmare for some armies to deal with.
It's gonna be a nightmare for me to play, but like I'm ready for the nightmare, you know. And speaking of making, the army more durable, particularly cursed cultist bricks, this last stratagem is like probably my favorite one in the book. It's just really funny. You can do some hilarious jank with this. So effectively, this is Mortal Trolls. For 1 CP, you do this in your opponent's shooting phase just after they've chosen a target. You pick one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of those attacks, and one friendly damned unit within 3 inches. What this does, essentially, is until the end of the shooting phase, while your damned unit is still alive on the battlefield and eligible to be shot, they will take the shots that are supposed to be going into that Heretic Astartes unit. Those shots get converted into mortal wounds, so a las cannon can pick up 6 cultists quite easily, quite easily if they roll a 6. Maybe not that easy. But yeah, this allows you to body block with a 20 or 25 man cultist break for 1 CP and protect a valuable asset. My immediate jump to this was like, oh my god, the Lord of Skulls. I can just walk a Lord of Skulls up the board and no one can do anything about it for 1 CP. I kind of started to downgrade from this idea, as I remember that the Lord of Skulls is still quite bad. And doesn't really do anything for this army other than being stylish, and also kind of takes away a lot of the horde of the horde. When he's nearly a quarter of your list, you can get a lot more bodies if you drop him. So he kind of became a land raider, which I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Big land raider driving around. And then I remembered that that was bad as well. So finally he became a hellbrute, which I was like, ah, yes, you are good, because every time I dart back around you, my cultists will be lethal and sustained. So that seems like a hell of a drug, with him walking up alongside the accursed cultists and just saying like, hey, you can't shoot me. And when we get there, these guys are going to punch even harder. At that point, I don't know what I'm punching into that I need lethal and sustained, as well as all the other abilities that I've stacked on these guys. I don't know. Maybe someone's brought like a Warhound Titan and I need to take it out. But yeah,
I mean, does that kill Meganobs at that point? I'm assuming it does.
that would kill Meganobs at that point. Yeah, yeah. That would kill God at that point. It's just gonna go through everything. And like the Hellbrute is good. He waddles around. He looks cool. And yeah, so I was kind of thinking about that, and then you rightfully pointed out to me, those accursed cultist bricks that are very hard to get rid of. Much harder to get rid of when they get body blocked by a 20-man brick of regular cultists. And then you have to get rid of all of those before you can even start shooting the accursed. And if you start shooting the accursed, they can blood surge towards you. So that can be a pretty big nightmare to deal with, I would say.
Depending which accursed brick it is, they're getting D3 of those big bodies back, so you could just end up doing nothing to them.
Yeah.
And if they do pull out their Reaper chain cannons or their Gatling guns, you pay the CP and you say, okay, this 20-man, like 80-point cultist blob dies instead.
Yeah.
And you can selectively really mess with your opponents. Like that is, you're kind of playing mind games with them too now at that point.
Yeah. The cool thing is, as I understand it, your cultist unit just has to be within 3 inches the first time that they're shot into, and then they don't have to maintain that 3 inches for the rest of it. So you can get really janky with where you pull your models, and where you end up leaving them. You can do some like dumb stuff with screens where you've got like, 5 cultists like 24 inches away from your cursed cultist brick, and they're still somehow body shielding them from across the board. I would do that just to troll, because it's like, that's going to be infuriating. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of really, really janky plays around this. Like I've got a couple of rhinos in my list, which will be completely safe if I need them to be. They can trundle around and take shots. And basically any unit which I'm like, gosh, wouldn't it be great if this survived until the next turn? All I have to do is have 20 cultists nearby, and it's probably going to survive. unless you're deciding that you're going to sink enough firepower in to lift 20 cultists and then lift the accursed brick, which, functionally, that's going to be most of your army's shooting, right? So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about the stratagem selection here?
They're just generically strong altogether. I think Mortal Thralls has a lot of mind games that you can play with it. Like your opponent's going to want to try to commit to pick up your cursed cultist bricks, but just by saying, "Hey, I can put all these mortal wounds on regular cultists instead," now they're just not going to commit to it, and you can put them between a rock and a hard place, which, as we mentioned with the Dread Talons attachment, is a great place to put your opponent. Like,
Yeah.
just paralyze them with fear, basically. Advance and charge in an army that has +2 to move and +2 to charges. Insane with
Yeah,
how
you
lethal
can
these
have
bricks
like
are.
4 advance and charge units if you go max dark communes.
Yeah, there is nothing that your opponent can put on the board that you're not okay with just blowing up turn one with an Accursed Cultist brick.
Yeah.
Squad of Bulgrin with shields, you'll just walk straight through them. Maganobs, walk straight through them. There is no tanky. Like, people are going to be hiding their avatars of Cain and Primarchs from you, Mortarians hiding from you, scared of little cultists. Like, they have no clean answer to put in front of you, because if they put something small in front of you, you just charge it with a smaller cultist brick, just one of the lesser cultist bricks, still pick up whatever their screen is, and now they're blocked in their deployment zone. So they really kind of have to accept the fact that they have to fight you and fight how lethal you are and how weirdly durable but also self-killing you are. Like
I actually don't think that, like, realistically, I'm going to take that much damage from Desperate Packs. I don't know. Maybe I'm, like, disillusioned. But, like, a lot of my units have attached characters, which are LD5 or 6. So, like, I'm passing most of my checks. It's going to be fine. Now, I have to make a lot of checks. That is certainly true. But, like,
well,
sorry,
yeah,
go on.
how about I was gonna say, how about you just start taking us through your list too?
Yeah,
And
let's go through that. Yeah, let's do that. So, the list is currently at around 1,800 to 1,900 points because I'm awaiting the final MFM update for Chaos Space Marines before I actually like finalize this list. But yeah, so what we have is we have Fabius Bile, we have a Dark Apostle with the Resurrection stratagem, or enhancement even, and we have a couple of Dark Communes. One of them currently has the Incendiary Goad, and one of them has the Scout ability with the hope that that gets clarified. Um, Moving on from there, we also have a Trader Enforcer because the model is boss, and I really want to run him. Even though he is really terrible, he allows your Trader Guardsman to Overwatch for free, and that's kind of all he does. But I like it. It's, hey, free Overwatch. I'll take it. Um, so then we move on into the battle line. We have 40 Trader Guardsmen, 4 10-man squads. They all have sniper rifles, plasma guns, and melta guns because I think the sniper rifle is a good meme. And there will be a day where I turn 4 sniper rifles on something like a Farseer or a Weird Boy, and I just pop his head, and that's going to feel real good. It will take a while for that day to happen, but until then, we're waiting. So following on from the 40 Trader Guardsmen, we have 90 Chaos Cultists. So 4 20-man bricks and a 10-man. I realized that when I built this list first, I had left no small squad to sit on my home field objective. So I decided to work in a little 10-man to just squat there. We have 10 Felgor Beastmen who have a cool ability that they can come in from Strat Reserve in turn 1, which is nice. They're not particularly good, I would say. Pretty low damage output, but they're cool. I really like the models. I want to use them.
so easy turn one, investigate signals on the opposite side of the board on search and
Exactly.
destroy. Like, just
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're like useful. Again, like I said, not incredible, but like I want this army to be really like homogenized and like really varied in terms of its aesthetic, and having the Beastmen in there is quite cool, I think. We've got 2 rhinos, which are probably going to be carting around Trader Guardsmen most of the time, and sniper rifle out of the firing deck, just icing people. It's good memes. But also, I actually think I put these in because it serves the value of like not literally having to move so many models in every single turn. Like this takes 20 models off the board, which I think is a valuable thing in this
yeah, you're back.
list.
Well, thank you for that. My
Yeah.
question is, my question is, where did they get these rhinos? Like, where did these cultists get these
Have
rhinos from?
you have you seen what my rhinos?
I have
My world
not.
leaders one? Oh, my world
I've
leaders
seen your
rhinos.
World Leaders one that has jackals piloting it, but
Yeah, exactly. So most of my rhinos are like that. So
my,
it
I'm
works,
just
right?
saying, like, where did the cultists get it though? Like, are they just stealing a Astartes rhino off a ship and it's theirs now?
Look, there's serious headcanon with this list. I'm not going to go into it. I'll save it for a lore video, but
Okay.
there's logic behind it.
Okay.
And did I say I've got Fabius Bile in the list? He's in the list if I didn't already say so. And then there's two 16-man Accursed Cultist bricks as well, and a Hellbrood, of course. And that's it. So functionally, how it works is the Dark Apostle, or yeah, the Dark Apostle with the amulet attaches to one Accursed Cultist brick. The Fabius Bile attaches to another one. And unfortunately, I don't have a third one for the Incendiary Goad guy to attach to currently. I probably will after the points get finalized, but right now I don't. I just need to make sure that the points are going to be okay. And as long as they are, I will have that third Accursed Cultist brick for the Incendiary Goad guy to attach. Um, if the points aren't okay, I'll probably have to move some things around because I really want that third brick in there. I think you need 3 bricks to really be able to deal damage in this army. I also have a little bit of floating points for Cultist Firebrands, depending on where their final points land. They're currently like, is it 60 points a
They're
model?
pointed at 16. I'm also praying that they're going to drop a little bit for
They've
Dread
got to drop.
Talons.
Yeah, they've got to drop. So, yeah, that's basically how it functions. There is a Dark Commune, which is probably going with 20 cultists. That's the one with the scout ability, provided that gets fixed, because I think that is just strongest on a 20-man brick to scout 25 forward and, do a lot of move blocking. But yeah, that's fundamentally how it works. You've got currently 2, but more than likely 3 death balls running around. You've got 80 bodies to throw forward. Then you've got 40 bodies to throw forward. You've got some beastmen doing little bits and pieces. Yeah, I don't know. It feels good.
And this whole time, the army's inherently a stat check, but
Yep.
most stat check armies tend to lack something, like whether that's like durability or lethality. This army still kind of has both of those.
It does, I
And
think,
you
if you
also
play
have,
correctly. Yeah.
and you have it backed up with speed too. So it's definitely going to be a skew horde army, and I think it's going to be one of the better. Like I would put it firmly above Endless Swarm,
I
honestly, in
think
my
it's
mind.
above Endless Swarm. I don't think it's above Green Tide.
I Nothing's going to beat Green Tide.
No, I don't think so. This might be Green Tide, weirdly.
Well, I mean, nothing's going to beat like how I think Green Tide is the stronger list probably just because it is way more durable.
But in a matchup,
Um,
in a direct matchup, I think I can beat Green Tide.
that you're just playing AOS at that point, just shoving endless bodies at each other.
See, I'm kind of wondering,
Um,
like, do they have anything that can deal with the 3 Accursed Cultist bricks?
that's the thing is Green Tide doesn't have the lethality that this list does. Green Tide
Hmm.
just looks at an Primarch model and says, that's going to stay there the whole time and there's nothing I can do about it. This list is just blinks and Mortarians off the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's an interesting one. I am going to be playing this as soon as I conclude the Bristol GT, which is in middle of June. I'm probably going to spend the rest of the summer hard focusing on playing this. I'm going to take it to a few RTTs. I'm going to play it a lot in practice games. I am potentially going to bring it to a major. As I kind of said in the video we did on Dread Talents, if this is something that you guys think is fun, like in terms of content, if you enjoy watching it, if you enjoy hearing about our weird exploits with armies that don't particularly make sense, but we're desperate to try and make them work, do let us know in the comments because we will make more content. Like I will, I'm ready and willing to give the people the lore about this army because it's really cool. It ties into my World Leaders Warband. These are all in my headcanon World Leader cultists. Like my Fabius Bile is a butcher surgeon. He's already converted. I actually did a video on him. You might remember from way back when. Yeah, if you want to know the lore, if you want to see hobby updates on these things, especially on Brian's Night Lords as well, which I'm like super stoked to see. I was actually meant to say it to you. I'm probably going to do a Night Lords tutorial at some point because I was talking to one of our Patreons and they were kind of asking me like, how do you think you'd paint Night Lords in a Grimdark scheme? And I was kind of like, how would I paint Night Lords in a Grimdark scheme? So now I'm like, maybe I want to explore that, but
I'm probably going to steal your recipe from you too.
it's not stealing if I'm sharing. But yeah, I don't know. Let us know down below if this is something that you would like to see maybe on a monthly basis and for us to check in and say like, hey, this is what we've been doing with our really weird armies. I'll be like 0 and 30 and Brian will be 30 and 0 probably. And it will just be the two of us having played each other in TTS the whole time. But yeah. It's an interesting one. I don't know, man. Like how are you feeling about this one? Do you think it's like, am I talking crazy, or like is there actual like hidden bar here?
I've fought this before. I have fought a very similar list to this before, and it kicked my butt. And you've demonstrated that it is has everything that the old list had from a punch up aspect. So it needs to be respected at a minimum. And I
Yeah.
think the biggest struggle you're going to have is the clock. That's your biggest opponent.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've played Horde before, and I'm reasonably competent at moving it around at a fast enough pace, and I will just happily ignore a lot of my shooting phase and happily ignore a lot of my combat phases if I am playing very seriously. One of the things that I've got scheduled in for the end of the summer is a narrative game with my buddy Rory, who's bringing like a 30 Terminator Blood Angel list. We're gonna play like a narrative of them teleporting into a hive city and just getting mobbed, and yeah, that might be something we throw up on the channel as well. But yeah, look, I'm really stoked on this, guys. I'm sure you can probably tell. Like, I have got so much hobby ideas in mind for this. I've got renegades and heretics, like traitor ogrins for my accursed cultists, the whole lot. It's gonna be so cool. I can't wait to dive into it, and I really hope you share my enthusiasm and want to see more of this, because I would absolutely love to make some different content from the usual world eater stuff that we're doing. And CSM is really fun. Let us know if there's any of the other detachments that you want to cover. I think Jamie is a little bit high on Raiders. Being the white girl that he is, he chooses the obvious powerful one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. So let us know down below, folks, if you have enjoyed this video, if you want to see more of it, and of course, if you want to support us, you can check out all the links in the video description. We will be back. The next video, we're going to go back to World Eaters. Don't worry. It's going to be a really fun competitive insights video on how to maximize the stratagem usage in our index. And hey, who knows? Maybe the next time you see us, Brian will be wearing some sort of flayed skin mask, and I will be tattooed with a Chaos Star across my face, which wouldn't be the first time it's happened on the channel. So until the next one, folks, stay healthy, stay safe. Sorry, Brian, go on.
No, I was gonna say I got a couple extra. I have some events that I'm attending coming up here
Oh,
soon that I'm
sweet. Let
really
us know.
excited
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
I got a major that I'm going to in a week and a half, and I got an RTT this weekend and I'm practicing for. So
Nice. You going to bring
hopefully I
Nightlords
can.
to any of those, or?
No. The book won't be out by then.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's
So
so weird to me that the book isn't out. I'm like, I already feel like I have these rules, but yeah. Yeah, awesome. So Brian's going to be at some tournaments. I have an RTT the weekend after this one. I'm going to be practicing my Bristol World Eaters Berserker Horde, which between myself and one of our Patreons, Danny D, is currently 17-1 in terms of wins versus losses. It's going strong. No, sorry, 18-1 as of this week. Yeah. The one loss was me not playing seriously against Black Templars, and I got found out, which is that wasn't the list's fault. That was my fault. Yeah. So if I crush that RTT, I might do a little update on how that competitive list has evolved, because I low-key think it's one of the most powerful World Eater lists that are out there at the minute, and it's not running Angron. So, let us know if you want to see that too. But yeah, lots of tournament stuff coming up, lots of good World Eaters content coming up, some hobby stuff as well. Don't worry, I'm still making content for that. But yeah, for real though, until the next one, folks, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill Mainbird.